Welcome back to another class on Evean Hazaer Halacha series. We are in Siman Aleph in Halacha Yud in the Bit Chidushu in Ot Yud Dalet. This will be part 11G. Today's class, I just want to bring you guys up to what we actually did previously to be able to compare and contrast. About 4 classes ago, we spoke about where there was a husband and a wife and 2 children, and it was the years of famine. And we saw over there that the woman, she took her children and she left her husband in the years of famine. But in that case that we were discussing, she was mentally there. And plus, she left with the husband's consent. To have 3 people live, meaning to have 4 people live in the same place, maybe there's not going to be enough food for everybody. So she said, listen, it's better that her and the children are going to leave. And if the husband can make the ends meet, great, and then they'll come back. But we know they never showed up. In this situation, the Nodabi themselves said, I cannot allow the husband to get remarried to another woman. Because again, they didn't fight. She was mentally there. With his consent, she left. Maybe she's going to come back. So the Nodabi said like this, look, either she's going to come back, and I'm going to have a problem with the Chen Rabbeinu Gershom. So I cannot tell you that he is mutar to get married to a second woman. But at the same time, I cannot tell you that it's asur for him to get married to another woman. Why? Because her memory is lost. Nobody knows about her whereabouts. But the bottom line is, the Nodabi said, in such a situation, we're not going to allow him to get remarried. Now you'll see why I'm telling you this case. We're not going to allow him to get remarried, okay? Now, this is the Noda B'Yehuda's case. Why am I telling you this now? Watch this. Today we want to see a similar case, but it's not in the years of famine. And we're not speaking about a woman who's mentally there. We're speaking about a woman who's mentally ill. She's deranged. And she ran away from her husband. And same concept. Nobody knows about her whereabouts. Can we compare and contrast with this case or not? So let's see this piece. The Pitchei Teshuvah opens up and he says like this. Look furthermore over there, meaning again in the Nodabi Yehuda. In Siman 147, in the responsa from the author's son. So now we're going to discuss this case right now was brought. This case right now was brought to the author's son, the Nodabi Yehuda's son. This is the case that he's dealing with. So here we go. This was the case. Be'isha shenishatet. We had a woman who was mentally ill. This woman who was mentally ill, while in the state of being mentally ill, she ran away from her husband's house, and she hasn't been seen for 7 years. Same concept, like over here, she left, over here she ran away, over here she left with her husband's consent. Let's put her ran away. Okay. V'ne'evad zachra, here we go. And her memory was lost. Similar to this case, where her memory was also lost. And nobody knows what has happened to her. Okay, nobody knows about this woman's whereabouts. Fine. Now comes the question. Im mutar habal lisa isha acheret. Can the husband get remarried to another woman? That is the question. Can the husband get remarried to another woman? This is what we want to try to see today. So comes the Nod B'Yehuda son, and he says like this. The Pirkei Shu comes and he brings the words of the Nod B'Yehuda son, and he says like this. Vehevi divrei aviv, the Nod B'Yehuda son brought the words of his father. B'Teshuvah Siman Vav Hanichtav La'el, from the response in chapter 6 that was brought above, which was in this case. Shelo ratzal lehatir b'isha shenevat zachra, where the Nod B'Yehuda did not want to allow the guy to get remarried to another woman, where the woman's memory was lost. Over here. In this situation, the Nod B'Yehuda did not want to allow this guy he didn't want to allow this husband to get remarried just because her memory was lost. Unless, he says, Zulat behada'at edechat, unless there was a testimony of one witness that said that his wife died. But also we saw over there that also with 100 rabbis. Okay. Now, but that's not what we want to see. We want to focus on right now that the Nod B'Yehuda did not allow this guy to get remarried just because the memory was lost. Okay. Rabotai, I want to just try to show you something like this. 1 second. I want to show you like this. The Nod B'Yehuda son over here, the Ben HaMechaber, what did he do? He's trying to compare this case with this case. If we're a woman where she's mentally stable, mentally there, and she left with her husband's consent, the Nod B'Yehuda tells us that just because her memory is lost, I'm not going to allow you to get remarried unless you have a witness. How much more so in our case, where this woman is mentally ill, while when she ran away, she was still mentally ill. Again, her memory is lost. If in this case I'm not going to allow, why should I allow you in this case? So comes out from over here, the answer over here should be no. That the husband cannot get remarried. Because just because her memory is lost, if a woman, one more time, if a woman's memory is lost and the Nod B'Yehuda says, that is not good enough of a reason for me to allow you to get remarried, good of you also, just because her memory was lost, it's not a good enough reason for me to allow him to get remarried. Now, however, comes the Nod B'Yehuda son and he says like this. So the Pirkei Shu continues, V'katav, and he says, and he wrote, meaning the Nod B'Yehuda son wrote, the Avdi Yeshel Dom, even though I can go ahead and I can judge this case, where I can make it a yes. I can make this case a yes. How? It's like this. Okay. If you guys recall, we spoke about chazakah. Now, what is a chazakah called? Chazakah is it's a status of something. For example, we gave one of the cases we gave that when a girl gets married, right? We don't go and check if she's a virgin or not. The chazakah, it's established that she's a virgin. Or let's say a person chas v'shalom lo aleinu gets lost, lo aleinu. Now we can't find him. We find him 3 weeks later. When do we say he died? Do we say he died the day he left, or do we say he died when we found him, or maybe he died 3 weeks early, 2 weeks earlier? So the halacha is going to tell us the chazaka when he left us he was normal. That means we're going to say he only died now. Excuse me. When we found him, that's exactly when he died, because until then he had an establishment that he was a person that was alive. So that's what chazaka means. Over here comes the Nod Mibena Mechaber, the author's son, and he says like this. I want to show you something. Over here I can go ahead and allow it. How? I need to raise something. Let me see something. Okay, let's do this. Alright, Rabotai, this. Okay, let's just put it right on top over here. Alright. Let's like this. We have a Chesed Chaim. So remember, what are we dealing with? Again, all this right now is the son of the Nod B'Yehuda. He's speaking right now. Whoops. Okay. All right, we'll get that after. Now, he said like this, against it, because what are you going to tell me? Why should he be assured to get remarried? Because you have a chazaka that she's alive. So if you have a chazaka that she's alive, maybe she's going to come back. So how do you want him to get remarried? If he's going to get remarried, he's going to have two wives. And that's a problem, because that's going against the Cherem of Rabbeinu Gershom. So what are we going to do? We're going to tell like this. Against his Chesed Chaim, I have another chazaka, which is going to knock it out. Even though the Nod B'Yehuda says he's not allowed to get remarried, or we also say he's not allowed to get remarried, the son of the Nod B'Yehuda is going to tell you, I'll find you a way why he could get remarried. Like this. Because against the chazaka of her being alive, I have another chazaka, which is what? Because if she was really alive, she would have returned back home. If this mentally ill woman was alive, because what do you want to tell me? Maybe she's alive. That's why I'm telling you the husband's not able to get remarried. That's what you're telling me. But that's a problem. Why is that a problem? Because if she would have been alive, she would have come back home. But she didn't. If she was alive, she would have come back home. Where they didn't argue. They didn't argue with one another, meaning the wife and the husband. They didn't argue. Where's the husband and the wife. The husband and the wife, the mentally ill wife, they didn't argue amongst each other. So you're going to come and tell me now that's a bad proof. Because what is Nod B'Yehuda's son saying? You have a chazaka that maybe she's alive, she's going to come back. No, I'll tell you, I'll give you another chazaka that maybe she's really dead. If she would have been alive, she would have come back. You're going to tell me, oh, you know why she's not coming back? Because maybe they fought. Comes Nod B'Yehuda, that's a bad proof. You know why? Because we're dealing with a situation where they did not fight. So if they didn't fight, why isn't she coming back? So good, against this chazaka, I have another proof, I have another chazaka that she's maybe dead. So therefore, allow the husband to get remarried. You hear what I'm saying? So let's see this one more time. If she was alive, she would have returned back to her husband. That there was no argument between them. So now, if you're going to tell me, let's make it simple. If you're going to tell me that the chazaka, that she's alive, tells me the husband shouldn't get married, I'll give another chazaka that's going to tell me that she's dead. Why? Because had she been alive, she would have come back. Why didn't she come back? If you're going to tell me maybe they fought, no, they didn't fight. Since they didn't fight, why didn't she come back? Must be she's dead. So you have a chazaka that she's dead. So that's a really, the husband is allowed to go ahead and get remarried. Nevertheless, the Nod B'Yehuda's son continues the Bit Chitzur, and he writes on behalf of the Nod B'Yehuda's son, and he says like this: he says, nevertheless, chas v'shalom for the Nod B'Yehuda's son to argue on his father. Even with these proofs, chas v'shalom for him to argue on his father. You have to understand why. Rabotai, listen to this very carefully. You have over here a very big problem. I don't know if how many of you guys know what's the Nod B'Yehuda, Rabotai. Let me ask you a question. Why did the Nod B'Yehuda say over here, you need either one witness, right? Or you need either 100 rabbis to allow him to get remarried? Tell me, the Nod B'Yehuda did not know over here also? 1 second. Maybe, why don't you say like this? They also didn't fight. She loved his consent. It was a famine. Why didn't the Nod B'Yehuda also give me exactly the same reason like his son gave me? Give me exactly. Oh, she has a chesed chaim. That's why you don't want her to get. That's why you don't want them to get remarried. 1 second, but you see clearly she's not coming back. That means if she's not coming back, so maybe she's really dead. And they didn't find her. So why didn't? And this way you can allow. Why didn't another Yehuda do it? So since another Yehuda didn't think of this, therefore the son says, even though it's a good reasoning, I'm still not going to go against my father. So as of now, is the husband allowed to get remarried? The answer right now is no. Continues the Pitch Yeshua, and he said like this. Nevertheless, to this husband, just want to see something. Just need to raise some more 1 second. Alright, okay. Let's just erase this. Okay. He said like this, nevertheless, to this husband, I'm going to put him up here right here. And let me erase this also, this is fine. Let's erase all this. Alright, so we have the husband. And we have the wife, which is basically should to. Alright, she lost her mind. Let's put it this. Okay. Comes the son of the Nod Yehuda and he says, when it comes to the husband, he says, there's room to be lenient, okay? He wanted to be lenient. We'll see what he's going to conclude in the end, but right now he wanted to be lenient. So he said like this, nevertheless, the son of the Nod Yehuda, he wanted to conclude that to this husband, particularly in this case, he could be lenient and get remarried. Why? Since when his wife left his house, she left the house while she was in a unstable stage, meaning she was mentally ill. And according to the husband's words, she was many years mentally ill. It's not just today. And when you're dealing with a deranged woman, the Rama made a Pesach Halacha, like we saw in the Shulchan Aruch, you could be lenient, you can allow him to get married to another woman. You can allow the husband to get married to another woman. To be lenient right here. He could get remarried, yes. Because the Rama said when you're dealing with a mentally ill woman, the husband can be lenient. Even if you're going to come and tell me that the Rama's case is specifically speaking about a situation where the woman that's mentally ill, she's in front of us. You guys remember this case? Why? Why is the Rama going to tell over here in this case when she's in front of us, I'm going to allow him to get remarried? Because if she's not mentally stable, he can divorce her. Over there, the Rama is going to tell you that he's allowed to go ahead and get remarried. So he says like this. Even if there's room to say that specifically the Rama was speaking about a situation where the woman's in front of us. But over here, maybe over here you should be afraid since she's not in front of us. Maybe, who knows, a year later she's going to become smart. She's going to heal and she's going to come back. Nevertheless, you can't say it. Nevertheless, he says, I'll tell you here why you could be lenient with him. Why? Nevertheless, we're going to put her on the chazak at the time when she left his house. When the wife, the mentally ill wife, when she left his house, when she left the husband's house, what was her status? She was mentally ill. So we always go after the chazaka and when she left. So therefore, even if you're telling me right now, maybe this woman, she's going to become smart, let's say after 1 month or 1 year, and now she doesn't come back. So maybe don't allow the husband to get remarried. That's a bad comparison, because I have a chazaka against that. The chazaka tells me that at the time when she left, she was not normal. So therefore, there's room for the husband to get remarried. He says, he says, I have proof for this. You know why? The imlo came because if you're not going to say what I just said, right? If you're not going to say that we have to go after the chazaka that she's still mentally deranged, if you're not going to say this, so why didn't this woman, according to you, if she's smart, why didn't she come back home yet? She should have come back home. The fact that she didn't come back home tells you the chazaka is still intact. He says, even though the Beit Chadash wrote that you need permission from 100 rabbis, maybe the Beit Chadash, where he says that you need 100 rabbis, maybe we'll speak about a situation where we know what we need 100 rabbis. We know that's a situation where we know that the woman that is the woman that's mentally ill, that's in front of us. That's why he said you need 100 rabbis. But if you have a doubt, maybe she died. Also the Beit Chadash can tell you, in this situation you can be lenient and you don't need 100 rabbis. V'siyem, however, the note of Behu the son concluded, and he said, since the case is still not clear so much, therefore he said, do not rely on me until you're going to get another two rabbis that are going to agree with my understanding, with my